Yeah, great weekend.
You notice I have my cruise outfit on, right?
Dude, it looks absolutely great. All right, let's go sailing.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey, everybody. I'm Glenn Hausman. That's Anthony Milkiri. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. How you doing today, man? Great to see you.
I'm doing great. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great because we're going to have a chance to talk to Harry Sommer. He's the president of Norwegian Cruise Lines, part of Norwegian New Cruise Lines Holding Group. We'll explain all of that in a second. Really excited to do something a little bit different today, Anthony. We talk about hotels so much over the last 18 months that we've been doing this every day that we're forgetting about our friends in other parts of the industry, the cruise industry, for example, right?
Well, I don't think it's so much we forgot about them. It's they had a lot going on, right?
A little bit. We're going to get into that in just one second. But Anthony, you know, I got to talk a little bit about our friends over at Radisson Hotels Americas. For you that don't know, for you investors out there, you got to get to know Radisson Hotel Group Americas. Why? Because they don't have 1, 2, 3. They got 8 great brands, including the Radisson Collection, Radisson Blue, Radisson Red, Park Plaza, Radisson Main Brand, Country Inn and Suites, Park Inn, and all sorts of different brands out there to help meet all of your needs as owners and developers. And Anthony, I'm excited that Phil Hugh, who's the Chief Development Officer, Jim Alderman, the CEO over there, they're really going ahead and they're reinventing and recrafting that company for folks here to invest in the United States.
You know, the word reinventing is so overused, but it's so proper for what they're doing there. And they've been in the business for a long time. They've got people from all over the business, and they're really doing some special things. So I'm glad they're on our show. I'm glad they're a sponsor.
Yeah, me too. All right. You'll reach out to them. You can find them, of course, at RadsonHotelsAmericas.com/development. Anthony, I'm excited. Let's bring in our guest right away.
Wait. Oh, you killed me.
We got Harry Sommer here. How are you, sir?
Good morning, gentlemen. Hey, Glenn. Hey, Anthony. How you both doing today?
It's
great. Thanks for coming, man. We've been waiting a long time to have you on. And 2 things I was going to say before you came on. 2 things happened today that I've been waiting a long time for. I was in the city this morning, and there's traffic. There's people walking down the street. There's people with briefcases walking down the street. There's all kinds of messengers. It looked chaotic. It didn't look like it was 80% back. It looked like it was 100% back. So the city looked crazy this morning. It was fantastic. We have the Met Gala going on tonight. We have UNGA in. We have Subway Series this weekend. New York feels like it's back. And now that you guys are back, if everything feels right with the world.
And you missed the Norwegian breakaway. Starts out from New York City in 2 weeks.
Oh,
so cruising is back to New York as well.
Awesome. Yeah. That is so great. Harry, I got to tell you, I took a cruise once out of New York City when I was living in Brooklyn, and it was the coolest thing to take a car service right to the port and just sail. And even better, when you got home, you didn't have to worry about taking a plane anywhere. You just took that cab right home.
Oh, no, it's absolutely fantastic. It is super popular with the locals there. You know, we have that prime spot right there on the west side, you know, up in the 50s, right next door to where the Intrepid is. It's just fantastic.
I think going under the Verrazano Bridge, so cool. I highly recommend everybody going ahead and do that.
You know, it's funny. Of all the things I've done in my life, going on a cruise ship, going under the Verrazano Bridge on a cruise ship may be one of the coolest things.
And like you wait till you're right in the middle and you can see both sides and the thing is huge. And then the Statue of Liberty is right there on the right when you come on the other side. It's fantastic.
It's so cool. All right, before we get into talking about cruises, just one little show note. Tomorrow, we're going to be live in Times Square. That's right. Anthony and I are going to be broadcasting right by the iconic red steps to celebrate the reopening of Broadway. How cool is that? Things are reopening, Harry. You guys have been cruising now for the last month. It must feel so good to get back to it after such an extended time off that you guys have had it to suffer with.
You know, it really is fantastic. You know, but back in the dark days in the beginning of the year, you know, we, like with many other things in the economy, weren't really sure, but we are so thrilled with the pace of vaccines. I saw over the weekend that over 75% of adults have now gotten at least 1 dose. Yep. And we can really hone in on the vaccines and safety and provide a safe and spectacular experience for our guests. 100% of all of our guests, 100% of all of our crew have to be vaccinated to get on the ships.
Yep.
Dare I say, it's one of the safest places on earth right now.
Well, let's talk a little bit about safety, because I know that's important. And right at the beginning of the crisis, the cruise lines were getting beaten up, right? It was very difficult for you. So it's really amazing that you're coming right out in front of this, tackling the issue so nobody could cause you any guff about it. What has it been like putting in the safety precautions to be able to sit here confidently and say you're safer than ever?
I'll tell you, when we first set out, in the beginning part of this year to figure out what the safest possible way is, we already had recommendations of a healthy sail panel, which was co-chaired by Dr. Scott Gottlieb, the former commissioner of the FDA, that put together a series of recommendations for us last year that we'd already accepted. And then coming into the beginning of this year, we saw like the rapid development of the vaccines, administrations of the vaccines. Biden administration has done a great job getting that vaccine out there. And we really said, what can safety look like? How can we provide the absolute best experience for our guests? And it starts with safety. Let's prevent the virus coming on the ships. So we said mandatory vaccinations, plus everyone tests at the pier before they get on the ship with a rapid antigen test. The combination of those things prevent the vaccine from coming on board. But then we don't stop there. Listen, it's still possible for the virus to come on board. So we've enhanced the sanitation. We're constantly screening. We put in medical grade filtration throughout the entire ship. We have this new system called the Atmos system, which literally takes all the circulated air and electrically charges it to remove all viruses, not just COVID, any virus out of the air on the ship. I can look in the eye, say again, this is the safest place. Certainly the safest place for an American to currently go to in the world.
And when you're saying everything you're saying, there's two things when you're trying to listen to someone that's so passionate about what they're selling, what they're in charge of. But when you're speaking, you literally would not be able to confidently come on the show or confidently do your job if everything you said you didn't believe to your toes. If you would not put your own children, your own family, your own grandparents on the ship, you can actually see that coming through the screen. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Anthony, it's a really great point. And, I said this story before, but back in, February and March, when we were trying to figure out what to do, sometimes things can be really, really simple. I went to my wife and I said, what would it take, Sharon's my wife's name, what would it take to get you and our 3 kids on a cruise ship? And he says, it's really simple. Tell me that everyone's vaccinated. And I said, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And we got everyone to, in the internal agreement here to get it done. And sure enough, when we started cruising, my wife joined me in Athens a month and a half ago. When we started cruising in the middle of July. And then I was able to take my 3 kids on the Encore in Alaska when we started there 2 weeks later. After actually gave the kids the choice between the Greek Isles and Alaska. Tough choice for them to make, and we hadn't been to Alaska for years, so they picked that one, and it was an amazing day. Everyone felt safe. We were on board, fully vaccinated environment. No one felt the need to wear masks, although if you want to, you can. We were able to see the beauty of Alaska. It was an incredible vacation. Really felt normal. Felt normal for the first time in like a year and a half.
Wow.
Now, are you noticing people looking more for, like, when you go to cruise, you can sit with people, you can sit by yourself. What are you seeing as far as dining?
What we've done now in this initial phase, from when we started in mid-July, probably through the end of the year, is we're only filling the ships to about 50 to 60%. So that really gives guests much more space. I mean, you think of some of these ships that can normally fit 4,000 guests. We're maybe coming on board with 2,000, 2,100, and it really gives the guests more space to space themselves out. So listen, people come in different flavors. Some people are more sociable and they like to get together, in small groups, 4, 6, 8. Some couples just want to be by themselves. But with the room on the ship, there's really plenty of space for everyone to do everything. And it's unfortunate with, kids under 12 currently can't get vaccinated, so we don't allow them on the ship. But that also, at least for now, if you're an adult without children, it provides a really nice experience because you don't have the kids running around. So it's a nice experience now. Of course, we'd love to get the kids back on, starting next year. We heard from Dr. Gottlieb yesterday that he hopes the vaccines will be available by the end of October. But at least for now, it's a quiet, serene environment with lots of space for everyone.
Well, Harry, what I'm going to do is next time I'm on one of your ships is I'm just going to put on some headphones with some kids screaming on it so I could feel right at home. But
sure, if that's what you want to do, Glenn, you go for it.
Why not? But I love that. And I love that I don't have to like worry about running down at 6 a.m. to go grab a chair for the entire day too, because there's less people on it, more space. I love the ability to spread out and have a good time. So before we get into some of the details about what you're doing, I just wanted to say Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings is the parent company to Norwegian Cruise Line, Oceania Cruises, and Regent Seven Seas Cruises brands. So there's more than 28 ships with 60,000 berths on there, selling to nearly 500 different berths throughout the year. Harry, how much as that has come back at this point?
So, from our fleet of 28 vessels, as you mentioned, we have 7 in the water right now that represent roughly 1/3 of the combined berths, because some of the ships we started were some of the larger ships. We expect to perhaps get another 1/3 done by the end of the year, before the holidays, and then the last 1/3 to come in place in the first quarter of next year. So, we have this gradual startup, and part of it is because different places in the world are opening up at different times. Like obviously we can't be cruising in Australia and Asia, South America or South Africa right now, which are places we typically go to in the winter. So we'll start those ships a little bit later, maybe in Q1 or early Q2. And part of it is we want to make sure we get it right. So, we're in no rush. We're going to start up one ship out of this 28, every week and a half to 2 weeks. And that's about how long it'll take.
That's amazing. And one of the things I hear, Glenn, is that they have amazing internet service in the middle of the water. So that means only one thing, Glenn.
Yes, I do. I'm going to totally pick up on your cues. We got to do some live broadcasts from one of those ships one day. That's for sure.
Well, when are you guys coming on? Like I said, we got the breakaway starting from New York. Happy to see you guys up there if you want to come on.
I would love to.
Why don't we do that, Glenn?
Yeah, let's freaking figure that one out. All right, we'll deal with your people.
You know what? Even if we can't get on the cruise and go with them, at least we can do our podcast before they sail.
Yeah, listen, I'm actually going to be up on September 24th up there. So look forward to seeing you guys then.
Yeah, awesome. That's pretty amazing. All right, so you're bringing back these ships. You're bringing them back every couple of weeks or so. That sounds smart. That sounds reasonable. It's very well thought out. So you're going to Alaska. What's going on with the prickly situation in Florida? I know you have a differing point of view than the governor might have. So where are you at with that? How are you negotiating that? What do you expect is going to happen?
Well, I've said before, and I'll say it for the benefit of your audience as well. We have no general beef with Governor DeSantis and the state of Florida. The governor has been a huge supporter of the cruise industry during his tenure. We just happen to disagree with him, at least as it relates to cruising. We happen to disagree with him on this one point. We believe that we have an obligation to our guests, our crew, and the communities that we visit to provide the safest possible experience. And that starts with full vaccines. It's really not that complicated. Like my wife figured it out back in March. It doesn't really take that much common sense to figure that out. The governor disagreed. We thought the governor was wrong, so we took him to court. And I think it was one of the quickest court hearings in the history of mankind. We filed something in court, I think 2.5 or 3 weeks later, the judge heard our case. And within 48 hours of hearing our case, immediately ruled in our favor, and so favorably that the state decided that they're not even going to try to have an expedited appeal. So fortunately, the governor seems to have moved on to other issues. Some I agree with, some I don't. But at least for now, he's leaving the cruise industry alone, and we're happy for it. And again, I want to go on the record. I have no beef with Governor DeSantis. We just disagree with him on this one thing.
Excellent.
I've traveled since the pandemic really started, and Glenn and I both have. And so I am comfortable wearing my mask. I'm comfortable being around other people that may or may not be vaccinated, as long as I have my mask on. The one thing I will not do, vaccinated or not, I will not go on a cruise ship unless I know every single person on that cruise ship is vaccinated. So a person that is pretty, you can get me to travel pretty easily. I would have not gone on your cruise ship if you didn't take all the precautions that you're taking. And then the last thing I would even think about is COVID. And that's what a vacation is. I don't want to think about COVID. hopefully I forget my mask going to the cruise ship.
I agree, Anthony. Once you get on board the ship, you have your mask when you're on your airplane. You have your mask in the pier to check in, and then once you get on the ship, you should put your mask in your cabin somewhere and not look at it again for a week until you have to leave. That's the entire purpose of doing this. And I'll tell you, we have some good statistics now. We've moved. I have the numbers here. I'm just going to look at my screen. About 43,000 guests since we started. Back in July 19th, I think was the first time we had passengers on board. So 43,000 guests in this last close to 2 months. No COVID outbreaks among our guests. None. Zero. I mean, it's been fantastic. And that's proof that this isn't just something theoretical. Guests can feel comfortable.
Now, you said they were tested before they get on the ship too?
Yes. So there's a series of tests. We encourage guests to test before they leave home. And that's a CDC recommendation, which we endorse. It's not required, but it's encouraged. So before you get on an airplane, test. And really, that's really just more for your own peace of mind. You want to make sure that you're negative before you get on a plane and come to our ship. Because once you get to our ship, we 100% mandatory test everyone in the pier. It's a rapid test. We staff up. It only takes about 15 minutes to get a result. And of course, if a guest tests positive, and we have a handful on nearly every cruise that do at the pier, we segregate them. We send them to a hotel at our expense, and they stay there for the week until they have to come home. And that way we prevent COVID from coming on. But what we've seen now is more and more guests are testing before they leave home, and that has decreased. So now we have, I'd say about half the cruises, no one tests positive at the pier. At the other half of the cruises, 1 or 2 do. But we have to get guests to test at home, voluntary, and then they have a mandatory test before they get on the ship. And then we feel really good. If someone tested twice negative and they're vaccinated, we feel pretty good that things are going to be okay.
You know what? I can't applaud you more for doing it the right way. Because if everyone just did this, we would be back to normal quicker. And
I agree.
To know there's somebody on the pier, even though they were vaccinated, had COVID, and that they were going to be on the ship with us, then what would happen? Some vaccinated people would get COVID. And so even though you're vaccinated, you don't want to get COVID. So I applaud what you guys are doing. And I'm so glad you're here to really let people that love cruising like myself say, hey, it's safe. The water's safe. Come on in.
Yeah, Anthony, imagine if as a country, we did this for general air travel, that
Right.
people had to be vaccinated and tested before they went. It's really, some things, you just need a little common sense. And I get it. That wouldn't have been possible 6 months ago, but it's certainly possible now. But all I control is my little slice of life here at NCL. And
yeah, but your little slice of life is a big slice of life, and it really allows people to get back to normal. And more importantly, really is a good testing program. Like even if you look at the UFC, they've been fighting since the pandemic started, and their protocols are crazy. And there really haven't been serious outbreaks throughout and so they taught the NFL and NBA and everybody else the protocol. So it really is a fantastic way to show other businesses, listen, it's more expense, it's more time. Is it the most, convenient thing to do for anyone? No. But once you're in, and what's the thing? Escapism, right? Get on a cruise ship and escape. Once you get on there, that's it. It's over.
I couldn't agree more, Anthony. And honestly, the expense and time really isn't that much. These antigen tests are not that expensive, especially when you buy them bulk. I think they cost us like $250 a test, plus the cost of the nurse to administer them. So it's not really all that expensive. And besides it obviously being the right thing to do, it doesn't add that much time to the experience either. We're now seeing fairly consistently from guests arriving at the pier to getting on the ship is less than half an hour. And maybe in an ideal world, we would have liked to see that as being maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So it adds an extra 15 minutes to take the test. But I think a 15-minute investment of time in order to have that peace of mind for the next 7 to 10 days of your vacation is time well spent. And I've had now, Anthony, the experience. I saw 2 turnarounds in Athens. A couple of turnarounds in Alaska. I've seen a turnaround here in Miami. So I've actually, of the cruises we've operated, I've actually personally been to at least 5 of them on the turnaround day. And guests are really happy. They understand why we're doing what we're doing, and they're really happy that we're doing it.
Right. It sounds like to me also a self-selected group that's already vaccinated and willing to be vaccinated. So they're already on your side emotionally.
And I tell you, Glenn, we did a little survey of our past guests just to sort of figure out, where their minds are at. And we did the survey about 2 months ago. 90% of our past guests are already vaccinated.
Wow.
So much is said about, I guess we're about 75% now of the adults. But I think you'd find in the traveling population, it far over indexes. The type of people that aren't looking to vaccinate are people perhaps in rural communities that don't travel much, while the more urban groups that are travelers are vaccinating at a much higher rate.
So tell me about a guest either online, in person, through a letter, express their gratitude for what you're doing and thanking you for what you're doing. Tell me one experience.
Well, I tell you, Anthony, I get it every time I'm there. Like, when I was on the Jade out of Athens and the Encore out of Seattle, I'd have people just walk up to me and hug me. Thank you so much for standing your ground on this, for creating these experiences. I mean, the guests on board, you're right, Anthony, to some extent, it is a little self-selecting, but the guests on board really, really appreciate what we're doing. And they appreciate that feeling of safety. I mean, as I said, in my personal experience, you really felt like things were normal. You felt, for 7 days that you were back in 2019 and really had a great experience. But, I got to tell you, we're not pushing 2021 voyages that much. We want guests to feel that they're safe, but we understand there are people that are hesitating. We're happy for people to book their cruises for 2022, for summer 2022. We're starting now to give people confidence that when they choose to go, whether it's next month, next quarter, next year, that these same high standards, and if COVID continues, we'll continue with these same high standards, will continue and be available when they come. And I think the more people that go now, the more confidence we give the general traveling population that this is both a safe and spectacular experience. But I'm in no rush. Our ships aren't full. We're not looking to get our ships full. If I don't take another booking for 2021 voyages, I'm fine. Wow. This is more about delivering the guests that already booked a great experience and giving the future guests the confidence. And I'll tell you, it's something that haven't really talked much about. But part of having this high level of safety is everything on the ship is now open. Everything on the ship is now open, so you can go to any restaurant, any lounge, any theater, any location. Our virtual reality center, our racetrack, our laser tag, our pool decks. Every single facility on the ship is open because we know it's safe. The buffet. Someone asked me about that. A lot of people ask me about the buffet. Go to the buffet. Have a great time if that's what you want. Now, I personally prefer the specialty restaurants, but a lot of guests love buffets. Come on board and have a good time.
I like to go from the specialty restaurant to the buffet. So don't worry, I get it all.
But that's the best way to have two dinners. You go to the buffet for one and the restaurant for another.
Well, it's interesting. When you guys were doing that laser tag experience, which is fantastic, I actually saw the rough drafts of it because my next door neighbor is Mark Viola, who built your laser tag.
Oh, that's so cool! Yeah, small world.
He went to where did he go? Germany to install it or something?
Yeah, that's where he built the ship in Papenburg in North Germany.
I think I remember the night he was going, and he was
so cool.
Really, actually, what he was really impressed by? He was really impressed with how you guys took care of his crew, how everybody was taken care of, and he loves working with you guys. I think he's working on another thing for you, and he just it's I think Showman Fabricators here out of New York. And he literally does obviously a lot of stuff. And he always talks about your ship and your company. I just realized that as we're talking. But he's a good dear friend of mine. I went out to dinner with him this weekend.
So he's going to share all the secrets of the new ship with you, Anthony, huh?
He hasn't shared anything with me. No, he doesn't. He doesn't share anything with me. And I want to. Matter of fact, he said he's working on something, and I said, "What are you working on?" And he said, "When everybody else approves it, you'll see it." I said, "Okay."
Fair enough.
All right. Now, before we get into talking about the new ship and how you've been elevating guest experiences and all of those kinds of things, I am curious to learn about how your docuseries that you're running right now called Embark kind of fits into your whole plan on getting people excited about cruising again.
So Glenn, when we started, talking about restarting, a lot of our customers, a lot of our guests, past guests, came to us and saying, this is sort of like a once in a lifetime, we hope, right? Once in a lifetime experience where you're sort of restarting from scratch. Wouldn't it be neat if we documented this? And I have a great director of communications, Chris. And I don't just say that because she's sitting right next to me here in the office. She really is great. To sort of like.
No, she's amazing.
Oh, she is amazing. There you go. Now 2 people think she's amazing. She sort of took this vision and really created something special. So we have a series. I think we've had 4 episodes. Our 4th one that debuted last week, NCL Embark. It's nclembark.com. There's my shameless plug. And we really sort of document, what did this look like, from the opening discussions. I remember the first episode where we sort of documented some of the opening discussions we had with government officials and the port director here in Miami. Then what did it look like talking to our vendors on coming back to service, getting the entertainment back on, the new uniforms, masks, what sanitation looks like. And then, we sort of got a little bit more into the product side. We've upgraded a lot of our menus, as part of this time because we continue to innovate. I mean, some of the menus now that we've done in especially in Bistro and in the Haven are simply fantastic. We already had a great product there. It's now even better than it was before. And then, in the last episode, we sort of document our first cruise back on the water. So, listen, not everyone could be there, but now you sort of get to see, sort of behind the scenes what it took to restart. And it really was. It really was something. It came out much better than I thought it was going to come out great, but it came out much better than we thought. These are like 20, 30-minute episodes. I think people would find them interesting. We got our last episode coming up, I think, in about a month from now, where we sort of talk about our first cruise in Alaska. Scenery there is like absolutely stunning. I think your listeners would appreciate them.
Well, I agree. Not only are you telling them, but you're really showing them behind the scenes what's really happening. So they don't have to believe you. They can see it for themselves.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, this wasn't a scripted show. This is not, it's not advertising. It's not marketing. It's a genuine, genuine behind the scenes look. We follow a whole bunch of our executives sort of through their daily lives. And it really came out well. It's really something special.
That's awesome.
And one of the things I've learned in doing my show, Hotel Impossible, over the 9 years, you don't need a script. This stuff writes itself, and because the stakes are so high, and because it's such interesting content, and the executives are so passionate and so on high alert that I would imagine you got some lightning in the bottle, and also. And listening to you speak, now I know what I look like when I talk about the hotel business. It's like you almost look like you need to be medicated.
Wait, I did have 2 cups of coffee today, which helped. But listen, I'm passionate about what I do. If I didn't believe that, I'll just stay home. I believe in what we do. We provide people with great vacations. And it's not anything more complicated than that. And we come into work every day looking through the lens of what we call guests first, right? How do we provide the best possible experience? So guests, we make money. We're a for-profit company. It allows us to raise capital to build beautiful and new and innovative ships. But the core of our mission is providing excellent vacations to our guests. And when we do that, everyone wins.
That's right. All right. So let's talk a little bit about that. Maybe through the framework of the brand new ship that you're going to be debuting. Could you share us a little about what that ship is all going to be about and why you are super excited about it as well, Harry?
Sure. So Norwegian Prima, our brand new ship, debuts in July. So we're about, I think, 9 months away now from it coming out. I get to go to the yard every 3 to 4 months to sort of see the evolution. She's just going to be spectacular. This is a brand new class of ship for us. It's our first new class of ship in about a decade. Our last 6 ships have sort of been, sisters or cousins of each other, for lack of a better term. This is a completely new platform. And, we really did some innovative things. First is, we took the engines from the back of the ship and put them in the middle, which really allowed us to reimagine the back of the ship. So we now have a 7-deck complex of Haven. So Haven is our sort of our high-end ship within a ship concept, all concierge service, all suites, beautiful high-end cabins. Think of it like as a concierge level at a hotel, but better, much better. They have their own private restaurant, their own private pool deck, an infinity pool off the back of the ship. Absolutely incredible. We also reimagined our outdoor space area, and we put 40,000 square feet of outdoor space outdoor space on deck 8. So, normally we have outdoor space on the top deck, like deck 17 and 18, but
Right.
now we have an almost equal amount of outdoor deck space on deck 8. We're calling that Ocean Boulevard. And we put a bunch of things like a beautiful sculpture garden, 2 infinity pools on the 2 sides of the ship, a glass covered walkway. And we have this food hall concept, first food hall on the ship that I'm aware of, where we're going to have 11 dining venues that has shared indoor and outdoor space on the back of deck 8. We're just going to give guests an amazing experience, an amazing culinary experience. So we've already announced those 11 restaurants plus 3 other restaurants. So we've already announced the first 14 of our restaurants for the ship. There'll be more. And then next month, we're going to talk about our innovative activities and entertainment. Can't really talk about it today, especially not with Chris in the room.
Yeah,
but we're gonna have some really wonderful new activity and entertainment. This ship is it's beautiful. We have we're known for our hull art. Beautiful designed hull art, and we hired this artist Pita, who's an artist actually based in the Venice region in Italy, and he creates some lovely 3-dimensional type artwork. You can look at our website to see it. ncl.com. The ship is going to be beautiful in every way. I think we've already spent $2 million on original sculptures, and that's before we got started with the indoor art. So this thing is going to be absolutely astonishing.
Right,
I love those infinity pools. You have the one there.
I was just looking at these pictures, and I sent it over to Professor Producer Suzanne to show us some of that stuff. That 8th floor deck is amazing. So on most ships that you guys have seen before, it's like it just goes straight up. But here, everything is set back a little bit, it looks like, from the 8th floor up, giving you that opportunity to have lounge chairs that are in little pools, no less. That seems to me like a Mexican resort, not something I would expect on a cruise ship. Kudos to your team being able to engineer all of those changes in and being able to make the space as monetized as you possibly could at the same time.
Glenn, it really starts with our core philosophy that we think people go to cruise to see the water. We started sort of going in this new direction with the Getaway about 10 years ago, where we put more and more of our facilities outdoors, in order to allow guests to have, outdoor dining and things like that. And now we've expanded this even further, on this ship.
Yeah, Harry, this is one of those ideas where you're like, duh, why haven't people been doing all this stuff all along? It seems so plainly obvious, yet it's been elusive.
And the other thing we're excited, Glenn, is that largest cabins of any of our ships in our fleet, largest bathrooms, so more space for our guests. I think it has the largest. It's an industry term, space ratio. It's basically space per guest of any ship in the in our segment of the market. Not just for Norwegian, but among our competitive set as well. And I think the decor that we've done inside the cabins is just it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. My boss Frank, who's a part-time ship designer, just said, good taste isn't more expensive than bad taste. You just have to spend the time to have good taste. And he and I are willing to spend the time to get this right.
Well, that looks absolutely beautiful. Very modern, forward design. Anthony, looks like a luxury hotel to me, not necessarily a cruise ship at all.
With all the designers I've dealt with in my life, I've never heard that about good taste, bad taste, and it's so true. We were somewhere recently, I think it was me and you, Glenn, and I walked into a hotel, and I was just like, they spent the same amount of money, and they got it wrong. As if they just would have taken a few more minutes on each decision, they would have gotten it right. And on the other hand, hotels that when they get it right, or a restaurant, when you walk in, you immediately know it doesn't take you from either the front desk to your room or from the front door to your table. It doesn't take you more than that amount of time to say they got it right. And you don't even know what right feels like, or what right looks like, but you know what it feels like.
Right.
Well, the nice thing about this ship, Anthony, I so agree, is, when she comes out, we're going to try to showcase her in a lot of different areas. So when she comes out, we're going to take her up to Amsterdam and Southampton for our European friends. And then we're going to bring her to New York and Miami and Galveston and Port Canaveral to sort of really do a full tour to get as many people as possible, at least here on the East Coast and Southeast, to come and see her. So again, when she's in New York, we'll be sure to invite the two of you guys on to see her. I think that's like in October of next year.
Incredible. So this ship, all the other ships that you have, how are you focused on creating amenities that are really something that people are interested in today and in 2025, but not necessarily what they were thinking about in the 1990s and early 2000s? How do you
Yeah, that's a
change
great
something?
question.
Yeah.
It is. And I'll tell you, Glenn, it really starts with the fundamental product, right? So yes, we have to have fun, exciting new things on the ship. But ultimately, what guests want are a beautiful cabin. Like, so start with space, well laid out, comfortable bed, beautiful cabin. We deliver. They want excellent food in the restaurants. Okay, yes, people overeat a little bit on cruises, but still, they want excellent food. They want fantastic service. They want crew that's excited to be on board and serve them. Those fundamentals are constant. They don't change based on the fads of today, tomorrow, next week, last week, and that is what we deliver in space. Now, on top of that, we like to innovate. We think things like racetracks and laser tag and virtual reality centers and fantastic theaters, which we'll talk a little bit more next month about, and plenty of outdoor space. Again, these aren't fads. These aren't things that you only spend 5 minutes at. I mean, some of the other cruise lines are really experts at delivering things that guests spend all of 5 minutes during their cruise. We're not into that. We're into delivering fantastic experiences that our guests can enjoy for hours while on board. And I can't overemphasize enough the fundamentals: the cabin, the service, the food quality and preparation in the restaurants, the space volume on the ship. Those fundamentals are what really drive guests to have a fantastic experience.
I want to change course just here a little bit.
Change course.
And you talk about you talking about fundamentals, right? There's two things going on right now in the world, right? We have to get back to fundamentals, and we have to really start understanding about our employees. We have a labor crisis in this country that's really serious. So I would imagine that you have spent time thinking about how do you attract the best people in the industry? Where do they live? What do they eat? What's their experience like? Because you know as well as I do, and probably better than I do, you can't do the great things that you're doing unless you're also reimagining how you take care of and service your employees. So tell me about some of those things.
Yeah, Anthony, it is true. Obviously the employees here in the headquarters and the crew on board the ship are the heart and blood of the company, right? They are what deliver the product to our guests. So on the ship, we're in a little bit of a different situation than hoteliers in this country, as our crew is very, very internationally based. I'd say maybe only 5% of our crew, with the exception of our Hawaii ship, is based. Are Americans, so we don't necessarily run into the same issues with sourcing crew from Europe, Western, Eastern Europe, Asia, different places around the world. So far, we treat our crew well. We pay them well. We vaccinate all of our crew. Obviously, we arrange for that. We don't make the crew get vaccinated at home. We make sure that they get vaccinated when they come on board of our ships. And we're known as being a good employers, and that allows us to attract this great international crew that services our guests. Obviously the home office here in the United States is a little bit different, right? We're competing with everyone else. But, we found if you treat people well and you pay them a fair wage, not really an issue. So I tell you, Anthony, the bigger issue that we ran into is the same rules that we have on the ship, that 100% of the people have to be vaccinated, we have in the home office. And just as I mentioned before, 10% of our guests aren't vaccinated. Well, 10% of our headquarter employees didn't want to be vaccinated. And unfortunately, we had to lose a handful of them, not many, but a handful of them. And that's the nature of life. If we were going to come back to the office, and I think it's only fair, if we're asking our crew to work on the ships, it's only fair that we work in the office as well. Otherwise, I think we're being a little hypocritical. I hear these companies that send all their frontline workers to work and the executives all stay at home. That's not right, Anthony. That's just not.
I can't agree with you more. And you have a style of management and leadership that's very unique in the sense of you're very direct. You set the standard, you execute on the standard, but you're very passionate. So you said something before, people want a good environment, good salary, whatever. But I just read a survey, and 42% of all people looking for a job are looking to change their boss. Okay.
Oh, sure. I think that's right. I think that's right.
And so you could, you can instill all this passion, but if you don't walk the walk, you can't. I mean, you can talk about it, but you can't instill it. And there's something about your leadership style and the way you present yourself that I would imagine, whether it be your leadership team or the people on the cruise ship, when you walk around the cruise ship, they're like, I want to work for that guy. Like
Well, thank you,
I
Anthony.
really want to be around that kind of energy and that level. I've said this before on the show, but I remember a young gentleman come to me when I early in my career, and he didn't really like me. It wasn't his favorite person. He goes, I never want to work for anybody else. And I was like, why? He says, because I don't know where you're going, but I want to come with you, because it's just that energy and that passion. And he didn't have to like me, but he appreciated my standards. And I think that that's what I'm getting from what you're talking about is whether people like you or don't like you, your standards aren't compromised. And too much, not only in business, but in the world, people set standards and then they compromise. And once you set a standard that everybody agrees upon, they can't be compromised. And I appreciate that.
Anthony, I really think you hit the nail on the head. We all have to stand for something, right? We all have to stand for something. And obviously, listen, passion helps, but having fundamental principles is really what moves the ball forward. And I think everyone in this company gets what we stand for, whether you agree or disagree, right? We stand for safety and great guest experiences, and we deliver, and everything we do revolves around those two things. So again, it really isn't that complicated. I think sometimes people run focus groups and they have these strategy sessions, but really, got to cut to the chase. What is it that you stand for and stick to it? And that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, and I appreciate, because some other people have been hesitant to come on the show and talk about the cruise industry, and I really appreciate your transparency and just directness. I really, really.
And Anthony, I'll tell you again. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I wouldn't send a guest on a cruise that I wasn't prepared to take my wife and 3 kids. I mean, listen, if my wife said, Harry, there's nothing you could do. You're not coming with me, and my kids and I are not coming with you when you go. I wouldn't go. Because, again, that's being hypocritical. I won't ask our guests to do things that I'm not prepared to do ourselves. And I went and I had a great time. We all had a great time. It was fantastic.
How do you, if you're the CEO of the cruise line, how do you get relaxed and forget about work while you're on a vacation?
I don't, Glenn. I don't. Going on a cruise ship is never a vacation. But there are moments, when I can have a private dinner with my wife and kids. There are moments where the phone's off and you enjoy. But it's okay. It's the life I picked. It's the life I picked. Drag my family along with me. But at least we travel in style, so it's okay. We go on Norwegian cruises. It's a great vacation.
Why did you pick the cruising life as opposed to other elements of the hotel industry, like the hospitality business? Because it looks like you've always been in cruises from your resume.
Yeah, I think this is going to be 30 years that I'm in the industry. Glenn, it was an accident, like with many things in life. I started out in the cruise industry because I was traditionally trained as an accountant, and I hated it. And I was down here in South Florida at the time. And I said, okay, what industry is in South Florida that I can do and have a reasonable career? And obviously cruises, I think, is one of like the 2 or 3 big industries here in South Florida. I said, let me try to get my foot in the door in the cruise industry. And I started for a small cruise line, no longer in business, Renaissance Cruises, back in June of 1992. I was young then,
right?
And it was a great experience, and I haven't left yet. So started out by accident, stayed on purpose.
Harry, don't take this the wrong way, but I was laughing behind the scenes because when you said I fell into this by accident, I was going to do, and I literally said the words, and I don't know if you heard me. I said accounting. So don't take that the wrong way. But you look more like a finance guy to me than you do the leader of. But in speaking to you,
it's the short hair. That's the opposite. It's the short haircut, Anthony. That's what makes me away.
But in speaking to you, like if you were an accountant, it was like I was an asset manager for 30 seconds. Could you imagine me in a small office doing cash flow all day long?
No. Listen, it's great classical training, right?
Sure,
finance, accounting. It's great classical training. But it's a hard thing to do. I have great respect. We have a big accounting department. I have great respect for all of them, but not what I'm looking to have my passion on right now.
All right, Harry, I know our time with you is just about up. How about giving us a good tip for folks that want to take the cruise to find the best value for the experiences that they're going to have?
I'll tell you, listen, obviously I'm passionate about Norwegian Cruise Line. I think we have a great product. So I'll just start there. Really, it's about two things, itinerary and size of ship, right? So we go to lots of places in the world, especially in the summer, Europe, Alaska, Caribbean, Bermuda. So, it starts with, where is it in the world that you'd like to go? And then, find a great ship that goes there. We think all of our ships are great. So really the simple thing is, where in the world do you want to go? You want to go to Alaska? You want to go to Hawaii? You want to go to Europe? You want to go to the Caribbean? You want to go to Bermuda? You want to go to Mexico? Lots of great places to go. I encourage people to get on airplanes, wear a mask, go to someplace great, and then just forget about COVID for a week.
Right, or take the subway over to the west side of New York. And
that's great. Well, subway doesn't go all the way there, but almost. Yes, and then you get on.
And last question I have for you. I was down in Washington, D.C., I think the week before last, and I was hosting a panel with the good folks over at Marriott. We were talking about modular construction, and I keep telling people to look at the cruise industry to see how successful that can be. Could you just speak to a moment on how great modular construction is, how it works for you, and how it allows you some efficiency so our hotelier friends could understand that a little more?
It really is interesting because, the way this works is, so the shell of the ship obviously can't be constructed modularly because it's it's a unique structure, the outside shell, but all the cabins are produced at a factory. So they just produce one cabin after another. They're shipped in, 2 or 3 large pieces to the shipyard, and they're taken by a crane and put through the side of the ship, and then they move the cabin around to where it's going to be. Yep. It's so much more efficient than trying to construct on site. I've seen it in various stages, and hard to explain. I'm not a construction expert, but it just seems to be much quicker, more efficient, and a more uniform standard. Yep. Right. So every cabin is then exactly the same, constructed to spec, delivered, on time, and it fits where it's supposed to be. It's a wonderful process. I'm really surprised, although I'm not an expert, certainly in hotel construction, I'm surprised that more of the high-rise hotels aren't done the same way.
Yeah,
we're starting to see more of it.
Yes, exactly. I think that the issue right now is there's not enough facilities around the United States in order to make that happen. There's still some jurisdictional issues, but we're getting there. Those are very inspiring words. I know you already made a shameless plug. You said it earlier, but anything that you'd like, take it away, sir, and then we'll let you go.
Now, listen, just guests, we love our guests. We love to welcome you on board. We're going to deliver a wonderful vacation, but if you're not comfortable coming now, it's okay. Come next year when you're comfortable coming. We're here. We've been here for 54 years. We plan to be here another 54 years at least. We're here when you feel comfortable to travel.
And of course, I got to say, I heard 2022 cruises are selling like mad anyway, right? Especially
for the summer and fall. Yeah. So book now, hold your space. It's a $50 per person deposit. Hold your space and come in and and plan your next vacation.
That's nothing. Anthony?
Well, I got to tell you something. One of the reasons I love this business is because I'm inspired by people in business. And, I'm working on 2 projects. One's I'm working on an institute down in Florida where you are, and then a master class of hospitality. So we're bringing in experts or masters of hospitality, and we don't have someone in your kind of area. So if it's okay with you, if you put your information where I can contact you, I'd like to talk to you about those 2 opportunities because young people need to hear you. They need to hear your passion. They need to hear your trajectory. You were going to accounting, and all of a sudden you're flying all over the world, setting up these beautiful cruise ships. You're thinking about how do people travel 20 years from now, 15 years from now. What's on your desk, the next cruise ship after the one you're about to launch, the next cruise ship, you're thinking about what is it going to look like 15, 20 years from now. That to me is fascinating. And if you take a young creator, a person that loves marketing or loves digital, creating through a digital platform, every single one of those fields, you have a place for them. So we need to hear your voice outside the industry. We need to hear your voice at high school level, at college level. And I'm sure you're doing that, but I would love for you to talk to you, for you to help us really get the word out. And more than that, we have some people that I know that I wouldn't ask to come on simply because they can't articulate it the way you articulate it.
Well, Anthony, listen, I love to share my passion. I love to talk to young people. I have 3 children that are young people. I love that.
Great,
I think you have Chris and Steph's contact information, so please feel free to reach out to them.
All right, Harry. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time. Take care.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure.
All right, Anthony. That was successful. I waited long enough until he was off to pull him off the camera, so I feel really good about today's interview just because of that.
Well, Glenn, you're an amazing interviewer. I say that all the time. But you cannot, when people say like how much preparation goes into these shows, like you just need good quality guests that are passionate about what they do. Think about what this man has been through. Think about what his team has been through. The stress not only of a court case, but of COVID and everything else. And he still seems like he's the luckiest person in the world. And I think those are the kind of people that I try to surround myself with. And I'm going to ask people right now, if you're not surrounding yourself with people like that, and you're surrounding yourself with mediocre people, maybe you need to rethink who you're surrounding yourself with, because he literally got me excited about our business again. I'm always excited about our business. But do you mind if I correct you on two things?
All right. I was hoping you would correct me on three things, but I'll let you correct me on two.
No. Okay. One, you said, why didn't you choose hospitality business? Okay. And then you said, are the people in the hotel business? He is in the hotel business, and he is in the hospitality business, probably more so than a general manager of a hotel.
Very good point. It's a very good point. Technically, you're right. The reason why I see it a little bit, the reason why I said what I said probably is because the industry seems so siloed, right? Like,
it's definitely siloed. It's definitely siloed.
So I'm still working after 25 years, bringing the casino business closer to our business over there. These silos and these classifications. So I guess I got caught up in that. Oh, well, guys, send your hate mail to me. I'm Glenn at novacancynews.com.
Well, you know what? It's even more in the hospitality business because they're in the middle of the ocean. So stuff gets real in the middle of the ocean. So not only they have a hotel, because that's what they have. All they have is a hotel. They have a beautiful hotel, and they just happen to, sail it to the water. But think about the Atlantis, right? The Atlantis. Imagine not just being a cruise ship. It's the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right?
Except that I think the food's probably better on Norwegian, but whatever. Sorry.
It was a lot better. Just say it was a lot better when Jerry and Zarella ran it. Okay.
Okay. I will say it was a lot better when Jerry and Zarella ran it, because I remember first going there and absolutely being blown away when that place first opened. Speaking about being blown away, join us tomorrow when we're in Times Square. Really looking forward to that. And just a little show note, we're going to be taking off on Thursday of this week for Yom Kippur. So no original show. I think we're going to run a best of on that particular day, though, Anthony, so people don't have to worry about being without us. And on Wednesday, we're going to Aruba virtually, at least. That'll be fun.
So let's see, Suzanne, our Dr. Suzanne, could you see if we can at least do the show from the deck of the cruise ship when they launch? And if it's a 2-day cruise or 3-day cruise, I'll go for the whole cruise. But if not, let's just launch. Let's figure that out, Glenn.
Yeah, because right now I've got 3 weeks of travel coming up. Hopefully they'll still be around. I've got Canada next week. Lodging conference, and then another trip after that. All right.
Well, let's see. Go ahead.
Yep. All right, everybody. I know what you want to do. You want to download the version of this show on audio, because why just watch it? Why not just listen to it? You're out there, you're walking the dog, you're exercising, you're commuting, you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, wherever you like to get them, even Amazon. We're over there. And of course, if you want to reach out to us individually, he's Anthony Hotels and I'm at Traveling Glenn. Anthony, any final words of wisdom before we wrap up today?
You know what? You're standing up to your name, Traveling Glenn, because you're traveling so much in the next 3 weeks. I like to hear that.
Feels so.
I like to hear that.
I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trips in like the next 8 weeks or something like that.
Where the hell are you going?
Canada, Phoenix, Vegas. Then we got the Resorts World thing in New York, but I'm not counting that. Then I'm going to Vegas for the fish shows. Then I'm going to Atlanta.
What are you doing in Vegas? Are we in Vegas together, or are you in Vegas by yourself?
I'm going. You're welcome to go. I'm going for the Best Western event, their annual.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So while I'm there, I'm going to try to figure out some other interviews for us to do as well. Then I've got 2 events with the good folks over at Red Roof, one in Atlanta and one in Dallas. And then, believe it or not, it's Thanksgiving already.
You know what they say about Glenn? He's traveling.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
All right.
Be
See
kind
you all
to
tomorrow.
yourself.